Almost a year ago, I wrote a text post on my website titled Creativity. While it was one of my more interesting text posts from the time period, it doesn't carry much in the 200 words I spent complaining about not being creative enough. However, there are some things I expressed in that post which no longer reflect what I consider today, and some more things which I feel I need to expand upon. Consider this video, or for those of you who still follow my text post, one of those, a remake of that old post from December 2016. So creativity is something which I don't believe is possible to pin down as a single definite attribute. A so-called creative person is not necessarily a person who is inherently creative, but rather somebody who believes themselves to be creative. Maybe you disagree with this quasi-postmodernist view of creativeness, but just bear with me for a sec. Creativity is ultimately a function of familiarity with your chosen medium and how much you're willing to come up with 100 awful ideas before you get anything good. In order to be really creative, you have to know the exact limitations and boundaries of your tools. Your tools might be the Godot engine, FL Studio, Sony Vegas, or some bizarre combination of all three. This means you'll have to spend a lot of hours learning how to use them. It's taken me 600 hours on Godot, and I'm still learning new things about the engine even now as I work on Masochist. Once you know how to use them, it's a lot easier to allow your mind to wander into territories that you might otherwise never have even thought to approach. Certain media such as game development are particularly obtuse in that regard. Which bit do you work on first? The bare-bones mechanics, the art direction, the codebase, the story? After creating a game or two, it gets easier to see exactly what you can do and where you can go from each starting point. If you want to create a game where mechanics take the lead, you can write out the mechanics first. It gets easier to recognize what kind of idea each idea you have is. Something involving glowing blue mushrooms is an idea where the art direction and style takes the lead. A game wherein you upgrade your enemies is an idea where the mechanics take the lead. Imagination and creative thought does need to be trained, but I don't believe it's in the same way as a muscle needs to be exercised. I think that a lot of people will get better imagination the more they try, but not because their imagination will somehow become bigger, but rather because they're more comfortable with the process as a whole. Here's an exercise in imagination. Pick a random word, preferably a noun, verb, or adjective, don't be a dork and pick a preposition, and think about literally the next thing that comes into your head. Even if it's not related whatsoever to your initial word or it's a random fleeting thought, grab it and do the same again. If I'm making any sense you can follow what I'm saying, you'll be led along a random path of neural connections and associations, and maybe you'll come up with some ideas along the way. Now don't get frustrated if you don't come up with anything, that's part of creativity. Coming up with like a billion bad ideas is almost required in order to come up with one or two good ideas. Spending your time pursuing a bad idea is usually not time wasted, since you're practicing your making the thing skills so that you can become more confident coming up with a better thing to make. Now this really is getting quite rambly, which is really impressive because it started off rambly and I'm going to cut it here. I have a cold so my script writing is pretty rubbish and my delivery isn't much better. Anyway, thanks for watching and stay tuned for more illness-induced rambling about something which a lot of people either realise already or don't care about.